The first option you have seen is how we can use the basic get JSON method. Get JSON method. By using that get JSON method, we are able to access and use the data coming from a JSON file. Generally, when you are using Ajax, actually, Ajax have a status. Ajax have a status. That means when you are making Ajax calls. So generally, Ajax have a request status. Have request status. Request status is nothing but, so every Ajax request have to follow various phases, actually phases. So we generally call this as Ajax request cycle. That means from the time you requested, so the process have a lot of things to happen. So actually, so the status methods are like, we have methods like Ajax complete. These methods, Ajax error, these methods are very important because, so you see generally online transactions, suppose you are transferring money, you are making an order, majority all these are maintained through Ajax requests. When you observe that, when you make a request, it says that transaction is going on, please wait. And after few seconds, it says that, so processed successfully, I am redirecting you to the page. That means whether request happened or not, is the request successful or not, the process is correctly handled or not. All such things are managed by using these cycle request status related methods, actually status related methods. So we have Ajax complete, we have Ajax error, we have like Ajax start, we have like Ajax stop, we have like Ajax success. So Ajax success, we have like Ajax error. So technically, we have to use this to handle the tasks and manage the tasks. Let's see how we can add them, how you can configure them. That means start indicates that the Ajax request started, and complete indicates that, so Ajax request completed. Success indicates that the data successfully accessed, right? And stop indicates that Ajax request finished. Data successfully accessed and it is finished. If there is any problem, then error will come. Ajax error will come. Is there any problem? Then Ajax error will come. So here, how we can write these events. Actually, in yesterday's example, we have designed this example. We are accessing the data, show data. It gets the data and gets the data and display. So technically, what we do is here for the function, because the function jQuery is currently using Ajax call. Here for the function, after writing the function, means the main Ajax function, we will write the status methods. That means main jQuery function. Here we will write the status, like we use the option like Ajax start. Ajax start. Ajax start is a callback function. This callback function, I will put an alert saying that Ajax request started. Ajax request started. We display the message there. And here we can add another option like Ajax success.
तू
Ajax
चोग करो
success.
क्लास चलची
That means we will put it is a function, so we will put a message alert saying that request processed successfully this message request processed successfully. So and after that, so Ajax complete, that means request completed, a function will say that alert, it will display that. So Ajax request completed, this message will come. So status we need to understand. If there is any problem, then we can use Ajax error. So we will write a function. So and we will put an alert. So unable to process your request. This message will come if there is any problem in that. This is how we generally define the status. And you see here, always I have given, I will not use this always. Now, so get JSON is having the function. You can run this and see. When I click on show data, that means Ajax request started. It shows message Ajax request started. Okay. After that, next request processed successfully. Okay. After that, Ajax request completed. Okay. Now the data renders. So it has a cycle. Remember, you don't need to write these events in order. You can write these events. First, I can write success, I can write complete, anything. But they will execute in order. They have a specific order of execution. Wherever you write, first Ajax start will work. After that, Ajax success will work. After that, Ajax complete will work. The order is important. So wherever you write, it follows that specific order. It follows that specific order. It manages that specific order. So we need to follow that order. So manage that order and define that order. So this is important to understand what is happening. The status we need to understand what is happening. So you can see, suppose, so there is some problem here. Suppose I said file name is wrong. And I made this request here. Ajax request started. Okay, something went wrong. It is unable to process it. And it says unable to process your request. Unable to process your request. And that is completed. Done. Then data is not there. That means instead of leaving the screen empty, because if anything is not working, if you leave the screen empty, then user is confused whether it is working or not. Is there any problem? That is the reason we need to avoid all such things. So to avoid all such things, generally what we do is we usually have to put all these status messages. Now, if everything is working fine as per the cycle, it will execute all the options. Started, request processed successfully, request completed, and data comes. And another important point is, generally, when Ajax request is happening, if any error occurred, then what problem occurred is also important to tell. That means you cannot simply say that it is not working. You better to tell what's the problem occurred. what the problem occurred. That means we need to tell the exact status of the message. Error status. We need to tell the error status. So these Ajax methods use a callback function. In the callback function, we can manage the status of errors. Actually, it is this function have some arguments. We have event you know already, event properties. We have XHR, so that is a parameter. That is actually XML HTTP request object. And options, we have some options. And we also have so exception. These are all formal parameters. You can give any names. I am telling the order. First parameter gets the event related information. Second one gets the XML HTTP request object. Request related details you can access. Request related details you can access by using XHR. And this XHR is important for us. It is going to display the information about what problem occurred. Because actually error in web applications have various status code and status text. Generally, error status codes and status text, you can see a simple list of status codes and status text you can observe. Actually, these are error status codes. These are error status codes for different reasons. These are also very important. I will give you this table. So why? Because you need to know these status codes. Sometimes in interviews they may ask, what does this code means? Because in web applications, everything is identified through the status codes. That means 404, which means not found. So like 500, some internal server error. 401, unauthorized. 400, some bad request. These are the status codes. These are used to tell the client in a detailed way that this happened, something gone wrong. So that is very important. These are all the status codes. So we can use these status codes and manage these status codes for displaying the status messages. So we can keep these status messages in various ways. We can define the status messages in various ways. What we can do is, whenever any error occurred, so whenever any error occurred, so in the error, here we have the error. In the error function, we use event XHR, XML HTTP request. And here we are displaying a message, alert. By using this XHR, we can access the options like status text. Status means it will get the status code. I will just put here, okay, first we will print the status code. After that, colon. And I want to print the status message. So status message. That means we have to put XHR dot status text. Status text will get the status text. So we can use this to handle any specific error and identify the errors. Now when I run this, suppose if anything went wrong, the products file is not there. Previously it was showing something went wrong, but now see what will happen. I will refresh this here. Show data. AJAX request started and something went wrong. Okay. But what detail happened? Not found. It will display that 404. That means it returns that not found. Now, generally, as a developer, what we do is we write the code. We write the code. That means once we can get the code, so we can write the option like if xhr dot status is equal to 404. If it is equal to 404, so I will put another alert saying that so file you requested not found file you requested not found. That's the message. For different status message we will put different. So now here it will display something went wrong, not found, and it says file you requested not found. It will get that message and display. This makes the errors more clear to understand. So user can easily understand that, okay, this is the problem happened, that is the problem. So this is very important, especially when you are dealing with AJAX. So AJAX have status methods. These status methods are very important to understand. So what is happening? So what status is happening? What actions are being performed? So that means, so it identifies the actions performed, it tracks the problems, and it returns the status. So while using AJAX, this is one important. So here I just use get JSON. So get JSON is used to get only the JSON content, but AJAX can be used for handling different types of content. You can access data from a HTML file. You can access data from a text file. From any file, you can bring the data and display inside the page. So let's see that. For example, so AJAX demo HTML. So for that, we have another important method to use. So we can use the method, so AJAX, so that is $.getJSON. This is good for if you know exactly that data is coming from a JSON file. If it is coming from a text file, if it is coming from HTML file, then usually what we have to do here is let's create doc type HTML head title. So AJAX demo, and here, so we have the option, just let's keep the script source is equal to node modules in that jQuery. Yeah, jQuery.js. For AJAX, we just need this jQuery. So in the body section, so we designed just a button. So we just kept a button, get help, something like this, get help. And under this button, we designed a simple div here. So I created some pre-formatted text. You know that I have an ID called content. Into that, I need to display the data, bring the data and display the data there. I need to access that and display the data here. So that means now simply, so first, for example, this is get help. I will just keep this also in a div. Okay. Now on this button click, I need to access the data and display the data. Right. So what we will do now, so I will put an ID help, btn help. Okay. Now there must be some file. So in my data, I created a new file, help.txt. We have a text file. And in that text file, suppose I copied some text. So that means I copied some text is there. Suppose this is some help document. So that is some help document. I will copy that help document and I will keep this help document something here. It is an ordinary text file. Now I need to bring the data from that file and display the data. This is not JSON now. Now what we do here is we use a script and a function. So dollar, so function, and in this we need to configure. So yes, in this we need to define into the function, we need to pass here. So dollar, so here we are configuring the functionality, how we can manage. So what we do is here we have a function called, means on button click you want, okay. So hash btn help. So click is a function, and on the click function, I want to access data from a JSON file or any text file. If it is JSON, you have this get JSON. If any another file, you can use AJAX. So this AJAX method, this AJAX is a method. This AJAX method uses an AJAX request. It uses an AJAX request that can access data from any kind of, means it can make a request to any type of file. You just need to define the URL. You just need to define the URL. So that means from what kind of file you want to get the data. What is the file URL? You have to just define that URL. And AJAX uses two important functions. So one is a done function. Done is a function. So on success, it will execute this done. Another fail function. On fail, it will execute the fail function. So technically, so AJAX is used for handling any kind of file. So I will use $.ajax, and we are configuring. AJAX is using the AJAX settings. In the AJAX settings, the option is we have URL from where the data is coming. You have to define that // so data / help.txt. It is coming from this location. That means that is the location, file location where you have that. And the .done indicates if it is successful, what should happen. So done function will generate a response. Response is the data coming from this particular file. So this response should be rendered inside this content, inside that content. That means here we need to just use $. So hash content into that content HTML. We need to render that response. Response is nothing but whatever the data is coming, we need to bring the data and display the data. So that means, so this data present in that file content that must be rendered into it. That means when successful, it can access the file content as the response. And if fail, you can add the fail function. If it fails, we can put an alert. And I said, say something went wrong. That is the message we are displaying. Something went wrong. That is the message we are displaying. Now you can see here. So when I run this, this is a different page. When I run this, you can see it is going to display. It is going to display that get help, and I click on get help, then it has to get that help document and show. So you can access any another document, and you can see that when I am clicking on this get help, it gets that and display here. How you want to display it, it's your wish. That means whenever you can put styles, you can put the style in that we have a pre, wherever pre is there, width is suppose 400 pixels. So that means overflow, we defined as overflow as auto. I defined overflow as auto. And the pre have some background color. So some light gray, some background color light gray. And you can see here, when I click get help, it gets the data and display there, whatever data is present. It depends on how you want to configure and how you want to manage it. So that means this is the data coming from another file and loading. So without reloading your page, it can bring that information and display here. If there is any problem in this, that means if there is any problem, suppose if there is a problem in the file, there is a problem in the path somewhere, and get help, it says something went wrong. Now here I am using the fail function is using so XHR, and here I am displaying something like XHR. So dot, so I said some status. I'm just displaying XHR status. And anything went wrong, it says 404 not found. We can put the error status messages and we can display the status messages. And I want to display the status text. So that means here I will simply say that here I will simply put that. So XHR dot status text. That is how it can display the text. That means it will simply say that not found. So whatever you are trying to access, not found. So if it is there, then it can get that information and display. You can access any kind of content. For example, suppose, so below this, I will keep a div here, and we have a button. So button. Suppose we have some existing files here. That means some HTML file. So I want to get some register form. There is a register form, register.html is there. I want to access that register.html. Then here I am giving so register, and ID is equal to btn register. So register, and on register click, I need to get that registration and display. Earlier you are using iframes and all to embed the content. But we don't need any iframes to embed the content. Directly you can embed the content into the divs. So I defined a section, div ID is section. Into this we need to render that page content. Then simply here we have to write a function. So we have to write the function hash btn register, so click. So on click, so a function, and it should use an AJAX request. So AJAX, and it should make a request to the URL, and the URL is // it is register.html. And if it is done, so that means if it is successful, then the function, so the callback function will get the response. Response is that is the file, and it has to render that into section. We have a section .html. Into that it should render that response. And if there is problem in that, then if it is fail, if callback function will come and XHR, so it will display the message. That means alert. So here we defined so error code. I will just display error code. It has to get XHR dot status. Status will get the status. And you can see that it is going to get that information and display that. So here get help, it gets help. Register, the registration form comes and display here. So the register comes and displays here. So in that registration form, there might be so many styles we are using. That is the reason it gets all the styles and display. It will use the styles here also, apply those styles here also. So it is going to access that and it is going to display that here. So important is without reloading the page, that will be updated to your page. It is accessing and using that here. That means it is rendering that content and displaying that content here. So any page content, you can get it through an AJAX request. You can access it and you can use it. So that is by using so the AJAX options we can manage. using the AJAX options we can manage. So this is how AJAX request is made. But in real world, what happens is, in real world, the data, generally in real world where we use this AJAX very much, actually in real world development process, so we generally have database. We generally have database. So we will design this example also because we are going to learn everything in this full stack. So in the database, we will have some database table. So we create this database table in any database softwares like Oracle, like